Tonight, we have an inside perspective from one of the Air Force fighter pilots who was there. Her A-10 plane was hit by enemy fire during a mission over Baghdad. Retired Air Force Colonel Kim Casey Campbell talked to our Diane Derby about those terrifying moments and what it took to safely land her battle-damaged plane.
This is a piece of the tail from the aircraft that I flew on April 7th, 2003.
Retired Air Force Colonel Kim Campbell's A-10 Warthog never flew again after enemy fire hit her plane in 2003.
My aircraft, it was hit here. This is where the missile impacted, and then it sent shrapnel into the fuselage and tail section here.
The pilot, known by her call sign, KC, or Killer Chick, was on a mission to protect troops getting fired at on the ground in Baghdad. It was only a few weeks after Operation Iraqi Freedom began.
Our friendly troops, it was the 3rd Infantry Division, were on the west side of the Tigris River. And then the enemy, the Iraqi Republican Guard, was on the east side of the Tigris River. And we could actually see them firing rocket-propelled grenades into our troops.
Campbell launched 7 rockets at the enemy.
Did you hit your target?
I did. I mean, we did. We did a couple passes of guns and rockets, and we also realized this was a fairly high-threat situation. We were down below the weather, and we could see that these puffs of gray and white smoke and bright flashes next to us. So we knew that they were shooting up at us too, but we had a mission to do.
Seconds later, she was hit. The plane was out of control. The enemy still firing at her.
Pull back on the stick to try to get it to climb, and it did nothing.
Campbell had to use what's called manual reversion.
I was in this emergency backup system. I had no hydraulics on the airplane, and that airplane was really hard to fly. It was like, I've heard other pilots compare it to driving a dump truck or a semi-truck without power steering.
She says the next hour was one of the most physically and mentally demanding of her life. Her flight lead or wingman flying right next to her. Her only eyes to tell her just how badly she was hit. Her thoughts racing to stories of 3 other pilots who had to make similar landings. One did not make it.
I hit about 60 feet above the ground, and that's when the airplane just started this. It was like a quick roll to the left, and it's that moment of like my heart skips a beat. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Like it's this moment of, am I going to crash? Do I need to eject? You know, what's going to happen? And I just yanked the stick back quickly, and thankfully the airplane leveled out, main gear touched down and the nose gear touched down, and it was a big feeling of relief. And I remember there were all these Marine firefighters who were there to meet me, and I think they were just like looking at me and then looking at the jet, and they were like, wow, like we were all in shock just seeing this jet just dripping with hydraulic fluid and charred from a fire that had happened at some point. I mean, it was just shocking that it could still keep flying.
Campbell's heroism later recognized with the Distinguished Flying Cross, the nation's highest award for extraordinary aerial achievement.
More than anything, what means the most is the thanks from the ground troops and the letters that I have received from ground troops.
Gratitude for a mission that saved lives and for a plane that kept going right through the battle.
As it was designed to take these hits while performing its mission.
And you proved that it could.
Yeah, I guess I did.
What an incredible story. Colonel Campbell was back in the air on a mission the next day. She ended up flying more than 100 combat missions in Iraq and Afghanistan during her 24-year-long military career. And if you want to hear more of her story, you can read her newly released book, Flying in the Face of Fear, A Fighter Pilot's Lessons on Leading with Courage. It's available everywhere books are sold.